The wind moves through this place like it owns it. And maybe it does. Somewhere between wanderlust and disappearance, there exists a world most travelers never find. Not on travel blogs, not in curated feeds, not on any recommended itinerary. These are the forgotten places, the ones that fell off the map and never asked to be found again. Crumbling storefronts, dust-covered streets, silence so complete it almost has a sound. And yet, people come here, quietly, deliberately, with a backpack, a purpose, and sometimes nothing more than a feeling that somewhere out there, a slower life was waiting. These are the ghost towns where digital nomads go to vanish. Some arrive for a weekend, some stay for months, a few never quite leave. This is their world, and for the next little while, it is yours too. Not every traveler is chasing beaches, rooftop bars, or perfectly filtered sunsets. Some are chasing something harder to name and harder to find. Scattered across the world, from sun-bleached desert plains to fog-wrapped coastlines, there are towns that time quietly walked away from. Forgotten places, half-empty streets, buildings that remember more than they reveal. And yet, something unexpected is happening in these overlooked corners of the map. Solo travelers, many of them women, are finding their way here, not by accident, but on purpose. These are not destinations you will find trending on social media. There are no influencer itineraries, no boutique hotels, no curated experiences waiting for you. What these places offer instead is something far rarer. Radical simplicity. Stillness without apology. Space to exist without performing existence. This is the world of digital nomad ghost towns, and once you understand the pull, it is very difficult to ignore. Our first stop is a crumbling mining town tucked deep in the American Southwest, where the desert heat bakes the earth and silence stretches for miles in every direction. This is where Maya lives now. 34 years old, freelance graphic designer, and 18 months removed from a city apartment she once thought she needed to survive. She settled into a restored adobe structure. No Wi-Fi, no cell signal, no delivery apps, no noise. Inside, her setup is minimal, but intentional. A wooden desk, natural light, hand-drawn sketches pinned to sun-warmed walls. Maya says she found this town almost by accident, following a thread of curiosity that kept pulling her further from everything familiar. And once she arrived, something in her simply exhaled. She has not left because, for the first time in years, she does not feel the need to be anywhere else. Maya's day begins before the sun does. She rises in near darkness, moves quietly through her adobe space, and steps outside to collect water before the desert heat arrives. Back inside, she lights the wood stove, and the morning unfolds slowly. No notifications, no urgency, just the sound of something simmering and the occasional wind outside. She works for hours at a time, completely offline. Sketches, layouts, full design projects, all built without a single browser tab open. Every few weeks, during a supply run into the nearest town, she uploads everything at once. What surprised her most was not surviving without internet. It was thriving. Her ideas got stranger, bolder, more hers. The mental clutter she had carried for years in the city simply evaporated. She describes it plainly. Less noise meant more signal, and her creative output has never been stronger. From the sun-baked silence of the American Southwest, we travel now to something entirely different. Picture a coastline wrapped in permanent fog, stone houses half swallowed by ivy, and the distant sound of waves you can hear but never quite see. This is a small village in northern Portugal, nearly abandoned decades ago, left behind when younger generations moved towards cities and convenience. But something quiet has been happening here. Women began arriving, one by one, from different countries and completely different lives. They did not plan to form a community. They simply stayed, and staying became something shared. Meals, tools, knowledge, and silence passed between them naturally. Sophia, a former marketing executive from Lisbon, was among them. She tells us she found this place through a handwritten note pinned to a hostel bulletin board. No website, no coordinates, just a description and a feeling that she could not ignore. Sophia moves through the village like someone who has learned to read silence. The stone houses here are centuries old, their roofs hand-patched with whatever materials the women could find. Salvaged slate, reclaimed timber, careful hands. Nothing is pristine. Everything is intentional. The shared garden sits at the center of everything. Kale, herbs, root vegetables, pushing through the Atlantic soil. Beside it, a communal fire pit where evenings gather without agenda. And then there is the solar panel, just one, mounted on the south-facing wall of the largest house. It powers a single light. That is enough. Sophia explains the unspoken rules quietly, almost apologetically. No loud music, no drama, no pressure to explain yourself or justify your presence. The footage does the rest. Goats wandering through morning fog, bread rising on a stone shelf, long silences that feel earned rather than empty. This is not isolation. This is chosen stillness. There is something worth pausing on before we continue. The women you have met in this video, Maya in the American Southwest, Sophia in coastal Portugal, they did not stumble into these places carelessly. They went prepared. The reality of solo female travel in remote and unfamiliar places deserves an honest conversation. For extra peace of mind, especially if you travel solo, hike, drive remote roads, or explore unfamiliar places, consider carrying a discreet safety accessory. Necklaces, bracelets, fitness bands, keychains, and more can look like completely normal everyday items, but with a quick press, they can instantly send an alert and your exact location to chosen contacts. You do not have to announce that you are being cautious. You just have to be. These small, wearable tools exist precisely for moments when your phone is buried in your pack and every second matters. Quiet protection for the quietly adventurous. And one more thing. Before you leave, learn a few basic self-defense skills. You do not need to become an expert, but knowing how to create distance, draw attention, escape a grab, and trust what your body is telling you. That knowledge travels with you everywhere, and it costs nothing but a little time before your trip. You do not need to travel scared. You just need to travel prepared. So here is your simple checklist. Test your safety device before you go. Confirm it works in the region you are visiting. Share your full itinerary with someone you trust back home. And always, always, listen to your gut. That quiet feeling that something is off? It is usually right. Subscribe to this channel and download your free safety guide using the link below. It is completely free, and it could genuinely make a difference. And it could. Now we travel somewhere even further from the familiar. Tucked into the mountains of northern Japan, there is a high-altitude village that winter essentially swallows whole. Roads become impassable. Silence becomes absolute. This is where Keiko, a Japanese-American travel writer, landed 4 months ago while researching a book she thought she already understood. She did not. During the day, she forages alongside elderly villagers who have spent entire lifetimes reading this landscape. They teach her fermentation methods, root preservation, and drying techniques passed down across generations. She documents everything carefully, not for social media, not for immediate publication, but simply because these practices deserve to be remembered. What started as research has quietly become something else entirely, a life she did not plan but somehow needed. For Keiko, the first 2 weeks felt like withdrawal. She would reach for her phone out of habit, fingers searching for a screen that was not there. The anxiety of being unreachable crept in quietly. No emails, no pings, no proof that the outside world remembered she existed. She described it as a strange grief, mourning notifications she never even enjoyed receiving. But then, something shifted. She cannot pinpoint the exact moment. Only that one morning she stopped mentally counting the days until she would return to connectivity. She was simply there, in that mountain village, in that cold, beautiful silence. The footage captures it perfectly. Keiko sits across from an elderly village woman, both of them laughing over a shared meal, chopsticks moving, steam rising. No performance, no audience. Just two people, genuinely present with each other. So, why are more women specifically making these kinds of choices? It is a question worth sitting with honestly. After burnout from a decade in corporate healthcare, one woman described her departure not as escape, but as emergency. She said her body made the decision before her mind caught up. Another left 3 weeks after a relationship ended. She had been waiting for someone else to be ready for this life. When that chapter closed, she simply stopped waiting. The third had no dramatic reason at all. She had wanted this for years and kept postponing it for a future version of herself that never quite arrived. One morning, she just booked the ticket. 3 completely different stories, 3 completely different starting points. But when each of them describes the moment they arrived somewhere quiet enough to hear themselves think, the feeling is identical. There is something these places offer that no 5-star resort or carefully curated itinerary ever could. No welcome package, no activity schedule, no pressure to document your joy for someone else's consumption. Just you, the wind, and whatever you brought inside yourself. Look at these streets. Empty, overgrown, rusted at the edges. Wildflowers pushing through cracked pavement like they never got the memo that beauty requires an audience. Conventional travel is largely a performance. You arrive somewhere designed to impress you, and you respond accordingly. You smile on cue, you photograph the approved angles, you leave with content but rarely with clarity. Ghost towns offer something rarer. They offer presence without permission, stillness without agenda, a mirror with no flattering light. Nobody here is trying to sell you an experience. The experience simply exists, and somehow that changes everything about how you receive it. There is something quietly powerful about asking someone who has already leaped what they wish they had known before jumping. Maya does not hesitate. Go sooner. Not when it feels safer. Not when the timing is perfect. Not when you have saved enough or explained yourself enough. Just go sooner. Sophia takes a breath before answering. Trust the discomfort. She says the discomfort was never a warning sign. It was always a doorway. She just had to stop mistaking the two. Keiko laughs before she speaks, which feels right. Bring better boots, she says, and fewer expectations. She means it practically, and she means it completely. None of them speak with the rehearsed certainty of someone selling something. They speak like women who lost something small and found something larger in its place. That is the only kind of inspiring that actually lasts. The drone lifts slowly above the desert, the coastal village, the mountain hollow. Each frame holds its breath as golden light spills across crumbling walls and quiet roads. These places are not for everyone, and that is exactly the point. They exist for the ones who need them. Not the ones chasing content or collecting stamps, but the ones who feel something hollow in the noise and cannot quite name why. If you have ever felt the pull towards somewhere quieter, slower, and more honest, it is probably already calling you. You do not have to answer today, but maybe soon. If this journey moved something in you, subscribe to the channel so you never miss what comes next. Download the free safety guide linked below before your next solo adventure. And as this empty road disappears into the horizon, Remember, the most honest journeys usually begin exactly here.